5 lights, and away we go. I think everybody got a decent start there.
That's an insane start from Koushik. Exactly what he would have wanted. Oh, Upbeat Ferraro, he just sneaked onto the inside and he has to P2.
Salvage some points all the way down.
Eccentric sending down the inside on Oxygen, and Oxygen is coming back alongside. Putting his wheels, and he's side by side going around the outside. And I think he's got the move done. Yes, he has got the move. Oh, still there side by side. But it's got the inside line.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Tier 21. We are back at Singapore after quite a while. This is of course round 7 of our 10 round season that we have. And today joining me in the comms box is sort of a new face. We have Star Max Lord or Ashray joining me as a commentator, and because Deepak has a bit of a sore throat, he won't be able to do commentating. Although he is still streaming for us today, so welcome guys.
Hey man, what's up? I'm very much looking forward to this race. It's going to be a long one for sure. It's going to be even more longer if it's rainy or if there's multiple safety cars, which is very possible due to the very close proximity to the walls.
Yep, definitely. And this just reminds me of the race we had back in season 6. That was 2 hours long. I think that was a very, very long race because of majority of the race being wet, and we had multiple safety cars as well. I'm pretty sure you remember that.
Yeah, you're gonna need some water, mate, if you're gonna commentate continuously.
Yeah, so
Alright,
Singapore, of
let's
course.
move on to the track video and the Hotlap.
Yeah, sure.
You can see when onto the start finish straight. After that, it'll be a quick braking point. Then after a couple of corners, it'll be the first DRS straight. Then heavy braking point into a couple of corners. Then it's a short straight towards a very tight part. And after that, we'll go into Anderson Bridge, where Massa had his huge incident where he caught it. And actually did overtake there as well. After that, there's another small DRS straight over there. And there's a right-hander. After that, it's another small straight. After that, it's near the Bay Grandstand. Then it's a couple of other corners, and onto the last corner, it's a fast double left-hander, and the last DRS straight. And we go across the finish line.
Alright then, let's go for a lap of the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. As we cross the start-finish line, heading down to turn 1, brake just at the end of the curb. Clip the inside curb as much as possible, and turns 2 and 3 are a quick flow of corners shortly afterwards. As we come now down to the first DRS straight, pitch the car, and important to get a good exit here onto this DRS straight, as this is probably your best overtaking opportunity. A good exit out of the previous corner can help you a lot here. As you brake just at the 75-meter mark, hug the car inside, make sure not to run too wide on track limits. For the right-hander, again, make sure to get as close to the wall as possible. Pitch the car in again for the left-hander as we come towards the infamous Singapore Sling corner. This is turn 10. Cut the inside curb as much as possible as we come now to turn 11 and 12. Make sure not to get too much on the curb here, as it can unsettle the car. As we brake aggressively and turn in for the hairpin at turn 13, and a good exit here can set you up again for a good overtaking opportunity down the back straight. Braking just to the 75-meter mark, pitch the car and make sure to take caution of the white line on the outside, as that marks the track limits now. As we come towards sector 3, this sector all about traction. You have to put the power down as effectively as possible. As we now come to turn 16, pass underneath the bridge, cut the inside curb as much as possible, but also at the same time make sure not to mount it too much, as it can unsettle the car. Final few corners now, all very similar to each other. As we come now to the final corner, throw the car in, no brakes, lift off just a tad, and you come across the line, and that is a lap of the Marina Bay circuit.
Was a very quick lap from our AlphaTauri driver Envy, who just happens to be racing with us today as well. He is the championship leader. The championship's of course not over yet. We are fairly close in terms of the championship. We'll be seeing the standings later on, and the race is dry.
Oh,
That was the qualifying.
that is very, very interesting. I mean, I think almost the drivers will definitely have a huge huge sigh of relief that it's going to be less torturous than it already is. I mean, this track is fun to hot lap on, but with the race fuel and worn tires, you can see how it becomes from your dream hot lapping track to your nightmare race track.
Yep. I mean, as you said, they will be completely glad that there is no wet weather involved. As adding wet weather to such a tight track just means utter chaos.
Yeah.
And it just elongates the race so much more because there's like a high chance of safety cars and VSCs and all that. So I guess it is good that we do have a dry race. Although it is still Singapore, it is still your home track. So it will be very interesting to see if all of the drivers finish. Perhaps of course, I do wish that all of our drivers do finish the race.
Yeah.
And don't have any problems. But there is a very big chance that we might actually not see that happening because at the end of the day, it is Singapore.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are only human, man. Mistakes can happen, and Singapore is one hell of an unforgiving track. So you do a slight mistake at the wrong corner, you never know what's going to happen next.
Definitely. One thing is you're taking a corner. Most of the corners are blind here anyway, so you're turning in for the corner. Next thing you see someone spun, you unfortunately just run into them, and then even you have damage then. Your race could get ruined just like that. And we can see our first driver out today here is Fuzzy Dunlop in the Alfa Romeo.
As Fuzzy Dunlop left the pits, I just remembered Singapore, in my opinion, has one of the trickiest pit entries and exits. In the entry, you need to make sure you don't carry too much speed and leave the leave the pit lane. And on the exit, you need to make sure you don't leave the pit lane in a way where you block the oncoming drivers. And our stewards actually have put out a new directive where in the pit entry, if all four of your tires are out of the pit lane when you are entering the track, when you're entering the pit lane, you aren't allowed to rejoin the pit lane and go to the pit. You must do one whole lap around the circuit before you can go into the pit lane again. So let's say if you have wing damage and you try to pit and you miss the pit lane, you are in a very sticky situation.
Definitely. Last thing you'd want to do here at Singapore is break your wing, then miss your pit entry and have to go again.
Yeah.
Although there is an exception in that same technical directive, and that is that for whatever reason, if there's a car that's not posted either on the pit entry or the pit exit, you do have the option of completely cutting the line, and if you get a penalty or a warning for it, it will be removed because it was out of your control that the car is not posted.
Yeah. But if I'm honest, I doubt that will happen in this race because 2021 still has decent ghosting. It still has decent ghosting. It's 2022 that has really horrid ghosting where sometimes the car won't ghost at all. I really hope Cody's fix that to make the life of the stewards and the races a bit more easier. Simply a bit of yep. As you see, Fuzzy Dunlop on his lap right now, and he's going down the main straight. This is the longest straight in this track, and this is where most of the overtakes should be happening. As you see, he's going to brake just nicely, but he slightly misses the apex and gets a good exit though. After that, he brakes properly, misses another apex. This so far isn't the best lap, but then again, this is still his first lap only, so the track still isn't warmed up, so it's fine. Main things for you is that your first hot lap should just be a banker lap where it's a safe lap where you don't make any mistakes. It doesn't matter if it's fast or slow. You just have to build up on it in your next few hot laps. As you can see, he's on the second DRS straight, turns on DRS at the right time, And yeah, this so far there's not many people out of the pits, so we're gonna stay on Fuzzy Dunlop for a while. As is in the last sector now, taking all the apexes quite nicely. Didn't extend the track limits as much as he could over there, but then again, it is still a vehicle lap. Here, he's just about to finish his lap. You need to hold his lap together so that he doesn't make a mistake. Very nicely taken, as is on to the last corner. That's a very nice and aggressive way to take it, and he finishes the lap. Obviously, he'll be first because he is the first one to set the lap. I think this again, Envy. So,
It's your audio now, boys.
yep, simply take us through Envy's lap.
Yeah, sure. I mean, of course, Envy, our championship leader, he's shown very strong performances before. He's just locking up slightly, I guess, basically into every corner. That could just be a visual bug because we know Envy is not the type of guy to make mistakes here and there. Although, of course, Monza, if you did watch Monza, then that was a completely different story. That was a one-off for someone who has that much level of skill in terms of Envy, especially. So, I mean, he's absolutely nailing these corners. I mean, don't forget, this is a banker lap, so he of course can improve by a large margin here. And,
No.
he makes a mistake, and by the looks of it, Commentator's curse is in full effect here because I did say he does not make mistakes, and he has. As good with Rajesh, who crosses the line and goes up into P5, half a second off of his teammate Fuzzy Dunlop, who's currently in P4.
I think he pushed a bit too hard there, man. I think he tried to take every inch of the track there, braked a bit too late, locked up and understeered straight into a barrier. What did I say about Singapore being a very unforgiving circuit?
Well,
One mistake,
spot on.
next thing you know, 110,000 pounds of wing gone.
Yeah, even a little bit of just an end plate slightly chipping off, not even completely getting removed, just like a slight chip of it costs you so much downforce in this game. And the track where you're essentially running 11 wings, the most downforce you can get. You essentially don't want that to happen, but then a little scrape on the walls are very close to you. You really want to get onto the power, but then the walls just come so much closer to you and so quickly that either you understeer off into them or you have to lift off and you lose so much lap time.
I think Karthik sir did a good job of letting people through, so that is going to be a challenge here, but that is a good example of how you can let people through.
Yup, and apologies if I not referencing other races, but back when I was here, I only did and only watched the Xbox Singapore race back in season 6, and that is the only thing I realistically remember. And it was a car park from what I can remember, and considering that we have around the same numbers of people, as we can see, Sai Tarun goes across the line for a P7 provisionally. Coming back to my point, we did see a massive car park, and that's Vinay who's retired.
Yeah, I saw him
Main
spin.
Street.
Yeah, no, I think he lost traction from the last corner, put too much power down, and he spun and hit the barrier. You know how people in the last corner of the last race, they put too much power, spin and hit the barrier before crossing the finish line? Yeah, right. I think he's put too much power there. You see? Yeah, he's hit the barrier on the left side.
Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, maybe not, because you realistically either want to be starting P1 or P last at Singapore,
Yeah.
or in the middle. So maybe it was a tactical retirement. Who knows? But anyways,
I think there's better ways to do a tactical retirement than that, because yeah.
anyways, coming back to my earlier point, it was a massive car park here, basically, especially in the last sector. Everyone's like, essentially, there's no space for you to, space each other out. You can't give way to each other as well. And considering we have about 17 drivers here, but 16 now because Vinay is retired, unfortunately, it just becomes a massive car park, and then you're just trying to give way to other drivers, and then it's just not possible. I mean, look at sector 1 right now. There's about 5 or 6 cars who are just right behind each other, and about 3 or 4 of them are on a lap, and that is essentially what's going to happen. And the last minute runs come through, and everyone's out on track, and it's just someone's going to get blocked at the end of the day.
Yeah, the queue, basically if the person starts their hot lap from the third last corner or second last corner, so you can see how the queue can extend to basically the whole third sector.
Yeah, so again, we'll have to see how that goes out, but for now it's fairly clean, although we can still see those same cars are quite close to each other. There's yellow flags in sector 2 for someone, I'm not sure who that is. It looks like a Williams to me. Still on board Karthik Sab, who's a very solid WDC contender. He's out of ERS, comes across the line with the DRS, and he goes pole for now.
Yeah, I still remember this very silly bug where it doesn't allow you to use all of your 100% of ERS for some reason in Hotlap on this game at least.
Yep. So that bug has, well, it would have minorly hindered his lap, but I mean, I don't think he would have minded it because he is still on pole by over 2 seconds for now, although Envy is on a lap.
Jeez, 2 seconds.
That's just the field spread, unfortunately. It is what it is. And Envy is just attacking the corners. We have 7.5 minutes left in this qualifying.
The way he's not leaving an inch of the track. Let's hope he doesn't do the same mistake again. Does he brake properly?
He's broken a lot earlier than before. He's broken a lot.
No, but he still hit the apex perfectly and extended the track as much as he could. So that was, I think, pretty well taken.
And he's
invalidated. Yep, the way to the curb. The way to the curb. He put too much. His right tire was on the curb by too much.
I think Envy is inspired by Max Verstappen in Saudi Arabia lap too much. Purpose sector 1, purpose sector 2, and then just in the last sector it all goes away. Yeah, coming back to in the race, we can see in the Haas. He's on a decent lap himself, going through sector 2 right now. His team is just ahead. Maybe we could see a bit of slipstream. If not, then perhaps not. Yeah, he's too far behind for the slipstream. So, yeah, in the race, on a lap right now, going into sector 3. He's just taking it cautiously. I mean, I guess that is the difference between skilled drivers and someone who's, a midfield driver or something, The skilled drivers like Envy, Karthik Sab, Ink, they just absolutely send it through corners, whereas you can see in the race, he's taking it sort of like in a very chill manner. He doesn't really want to push it too much, but he doesn't want to push a little too less as well. So, essentially he wants to be in a comfort zone, basically, of himself.
I mean, it makes sense. Karthik Sab and Envy, they're fast, mainly because they're comfortable and confident in their car.
I take my words back, he's gone P2. Sorry to cut you off as well.
So they're confident and comfortable in their car, so they can push it like that. So in the race, on the other hand, he might be a midfield driver where every point is very, very important. So his main goal is to not be at the top, is to consistently score in the midfield area, if you know what I mean. And once in a while, when people at the top screw up, he can get a podium or win by chance.
Yep, I mean, he was in contention for it in Japan, but then he just fell short by a couple of seconds. So he's definitely capable of getting a podium if something goes wrong for the top 3. So yeah, I mean, this is again Singapore, so anything can happen to anyone. So we'll just have to see. I think Envy will be boxing as Dark Knight goes P2, and his teammates sort of bad P3, so they're fairly close to each other. And we did see that both the Alpines and that's dead shot hitting the wall. His end plates definitely chipped off there. And coming back to my earlier point, Williams guys have apologies. The Alpine guys have very, very good teamwork. We have seen it across the season where they never really hinder each other. If one of them is very faster than the other one, they just let them by the most efficient manner possible. So I think them starting right next to each other, especially on the start, they can just block the straight by going side by side, because that is how long, that is how wide the straight is anyways. It can barely fit 2 cars. So if they just go side by side through there and then make sure they don't compromise each other into turn 1, they essentially don't have to concede position to anyone at all. But again, that also relies heavily on them getting a very good start. So we'll have to see how that goes.
These guys' teamwork is quite opposite of what happens in real life F1, because while in Alpine, Ocon and Alonso aren't the best teammates, especially in this year. Hungary flashback.
Indeed. And we were on board with Sai Tarun, whose teammate is not here with us today, unfortunately. So Sai's left all on his own. And he can't essentially use his teammate, although they also have very good teammates. So I think it's like a pattern throughout the field, right? That we have seen throughout the season. If the teammates start like right next to each other, they've always had very good teamwork, and they've definitely finished top 5. So Sai Tarun not having his teammate here will kind of be a bummer to him, because we did see in Silverstone, they finished P4, P5. That was like very, very good performance from them. As Ink now comes across the line,
That was a good lap.
And this could well play out in the hands of the Aston Martin boys, considering that Envy is struggling to put in a lap.
Well, yeah, I just realized he hasn't set a lap yet.
Yep, and as Alex has also joined us now, so we're going to be having 18 drivers. I believe Neon was supposed to join us as well, but he's not shown up just yet.
He is in P15.
Oh, apologies then. Neon's here. He's in P15.
Alex isn't here, from what I see.
Yeah, I think he'll be taking control of his car fairly shortly.
Okay.
And he's left the session.
I think he's having a couple of connectivity issues.
Those are fairly common in this game, unfortunately. They code masters, but they can't code. Anyways, Satwik, who is friends with Sai Tarun, for those guys who don't know, he's doing fairly well for himself. He's out qualifying his friend right now by a large margin, so I think he'll be delighted. Satwik had a lot of potential in him last week as well. We saw very good race pace from him, a very good strategy from him as well, but unfortunately he made a mistake and he had to retire because of that, obviously, because he got damaged. Although, yeah, Satwik is still a pretty good driver himself, a solid midfielder, I'd say, and he definitely has a chance yet again, like in the race. If anything goes wrong for the top 3, top 4, he has a very, very good shot at clenching the podium, at least the P3.
He's on a pretty decent lap right now, I would say. It's clean, but it's not really like full on extending the lap. But I would say it's a pretty clean lap, which is
He did
pretty much what we need.
loose here and there.
Yeah.
He just stuck to the inside there.
How is it? Is he on controller or mouse and keyboard?
I believe he's on controller.
Okay.
Okay, well, it was 2.5 seconds down. I mean, I did see him getting loose basically at the exit of every corner as Fuzzy Down across the line. Goes P7, improves by a bit. Not enough for top 5 though. Just about a second off of the top 5.
And
so he'll have to go again.
Yeah, sorry. Envy has one last chance. He's still on an out lap.
Can we... Actually, let's just stick on board with...
He doesn't have enough time to start a lap.
Does he? Or does he not?
He doesn't.
Oh, he does not. And he's invalidated as well.
It's out lap.
Aston Martin are going to be absolutely delighted here then. That is what Karthik wanted. Karthik does slightly struggle in the race pace wise, and considering that Envy is not even starting anywhere close to them, and he'll have to cut his way through the midfield. At Singapore, it's a very big thing to do, because one, you really can't pass anywhere. You can't absolutely use up your ERS because you essentially can't save up any percentage back.
Yeah.
So Karthik and Ink will be absolutely delighted as long as Ink can get a very good start here and jump Dark Knight. They can end up with a 1-2 here at the end of the day.
But I don't think they celebrate it. Ink is in the pits, but Saurabh is still on a lap, so Saurabh could possibly jump Ink here. The gap is very, very minimal.
Definitely, yeah. It's a couple of hundreds here and there as qualifying's over now. Yep. Envy starting P17. Very
I think
unfortunate
both
for him.
Dark Knight and Saurabh are on a lap. He slowly loses the car by a bit there, but I don't think that should cost him too much.
I mean, he's still green through Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's on for an improved lap as he hits the wall. And he's lost an end plate there as well. Although he's still going strong, he's not stopped, and he's gonna start to struggle on the right-handers here. These low-speed right-handers do really require you to have that. Oh, and he's hit the wall again, and he's
That was a good lap.
Dark Knight is yellow through the middle sector. He's doing fairly decent though. He does have the chance of improving through the last sector. Has not hit any walls so far, unlike his teammate. Takes the long left-hander fairly well, turns on the DRS, goes across the line. Is not improved by much. And of course, it's not enough for pole. Karthik sub purple through the second sector, a bit loose coming out of that corner. Still doing it fairly well. I think you can just abandon this lap and save a set of tires because he's on pole. He's guaranteed on pole, although he'll be going across the line now. 36-0. That's 9/10 faster than Dark Knight.
What's the fun in that simply? The pit. But it's a dominant lap.
Yeah, that's true. I think it does help in terms of the psychology part of it, I guess.
Yeah, but I think
I can
as
set
a
a proper
driver,
lap time.
yeah, as a driver, you never really know like that everyone is in the pit or everyone is not on a hot lap. You know what I mean? Because these guys, they don't have like proper dedicated race engineers that esports
They
people
do actually.
Yeah, but they do, but they see all the info that we see. So in our info that we see, we can still see like two people are on a hot lap. We can't see like how much time they're gaining because you never know. Some guy might just gain a lot of time and you might jump him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, Sai Tarun in the pits. Qualifying is over. Karthik's on pole. Ink is P3. Dark Knight Peter Surf at P4. We'll just wait to go on to the final orders, and there it is. Karthik sub on pole in the Aston Martin with a 36-0, followed by Dark Knight, who's 8.5 tenths behind Karthik sub, followed by Ink, Saurav Pat, Inder Des, Turbo Chuk, Fuzzy Dunlop, Satvik, Eric Griffin, Mr. Raut, Neon, Mighty Owl, Sai Tarun, Rajesh, Winner, Deadshot, and Envy starts last.
I mean, this is going to be interesting. Envy has to do a proper comeback race to recover from his quali. The good thing is, it's going to be a long race. He has time to recover, but the thing is, how much can he recover from the lack of ERS regen and the lack of overtaking spots?
That's true, you can't really do much. Your main overtaking spot would be 1, 2, 3. I'm guessing 5, 6, or if you have a good run out of the last corner, then into 1. But that's realistically where you can pass, and after that it's just corner after corner after corner, and you really can't pass there. So
But at the
you
same,
only have 2 overtaking opportunities, and those are the championship standings ahead of us.
But at the same time, I think there's going to be a couple of safety cars here, referring to some other races. So he has a good chance to do a proper comeback.
Yeah, because if remember that we only have points for top 15. I don't know why I said only, but we do have points for top 15. So, I mean, of course, Envy is going to finish within the top 15. He has a lot of pace, but we can see Karthik sub is very, very close to him in the standings. And if Karthik sub can win, he's going to have a large points gap going into the last couple of rounds, last set of rounds. Although I think the Aston Martin boys, in terms of the WCC, will be slightly delighted because they are in the lead by over 100 points, 101 points to be exact. So they won't really be worrying about the Alpine guys too much here today, although they are starting P2 and P4, so they could be a bit of trouble here, and they could cause them a lot of race time and a lot of lap time, and perhaps even snatch away the podium from Ink, or it could also be Karthik they snatch away the podium from, so that we'll have to keep an eye out for.
I mean, Ink is also still in the championship battle. There's not much apart between the top 3.
Yeah, that's true, but I think Karthik sub is definitely the number 1 driver in NASCAR.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'll be prioritizing him.
Yeah.
Our drivers are readying up now, as we will go on to our formation lap. And if you don't do the formation lap properly here and you do not get your tires up to optimal temperature, you will lose out on the start by a lot. I mean, it is generally the case for other tracks, but in other tracks you can just come back, because those are the natures of the track. Whereas Singapore, as we mentioned earlier, 2 overtaking opportunities. If you fall back and you just don't have the pace to overtake anyone, you're going to be stuck behind them, and you just won't be able to pass them, and then that's your race ruined.
Yeah. It is very, very tricky for these guys. I do wish them the best of luck.
We all wish them the best of luck, as we have 31 laps ahead of us. Eric Griffin has disconnected from the session, so he will be requesting an invite back, as he's in a decent position himself. P9 just behind his teammate Satvik, And that's Dark Knight who's also disconnected, I believe that is. Yes, Dark Knight's also disconnected from the session. Dark Knight's gonna lose out on the start here, Starmax.
Oh no, this is not going to be good. And I'm pretty sure this game doesn't allow you to take control while in the formation lap. It only allows you to take control after the formation lap.
Yep. So his tires are gonna wear out more than he wants to, and he's probably not even on the right strategy that he realistically would have wanted to be on either. Well, I mean, considering that the top 8 are starting on softs, I think Dark Knight wouldn't have minded to be starting on the softs, although the AI does put in a lot more wear than you realistically want.
Yeah.
Although his tires will be in the optimal tire temperature window, so he'll be... It's kind of like a 50-50 situation, I guess you could call it.
Yep.
Although it does come down to Pat getting a good start and challenging it into turn 1, because Dark Knight really won't be able to do much since he is disconnected, and he can only, I think, take control after the lights go out as well. So the AI does the start for him, so he will be frustrated there, like, definitely.
I mean, there's one blessing in this though. Him being an AI car, he'll be ghosted, so if anyone gets a sketchy start or something, he necessarily won't be involved in that incident.
I mean, he could play it smart and take control after all the chaos is done.
Exactly.
I don't think he'll be wanting to do that. I think he wants to get fair and then take control as soon as he can. So, I mean, it is kind of a thing that you could do, but then, it will be looked down upon. So he does not do that. And I think he could get reported for it as well, because it is an unfair advantage at the end of the day.
Okay.
Okay, indeed. In the race, P5 just behind Pat. He is going to be putting pressure on Pat and Ink. I think he'll be starting right behind Ink as well. So he'll be putting a lot of pressure on those guys. He will be under pressure by Turbochuk and Fuzzy Dunlop starting behind him as well. So in the race, has to get a good start to at least keep his position on the line, as Envy is the last car, comes across the final corner, and he will be going up onto his grid spot, and we'll take you through the start as quickly as possible. He has lined up. Lights are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go here at Singapore. So Dark Knight just does not go off the start. Karthik Sab gets a very, very good start, and there's someone going 3 wide there. That's Turbochuk who hits the back of Saurav, but someone gets spun around. That is Turbochuk who gets spun around, and Fuzzy Dunlop in the race. Neon all going side by side through the first corner. All the Fuzzy Dunlop does come up ahead. Satvik up into P4 already. The top 2 are running away with this. There's a 1.5 second gap here. There's a lot of chaos going on in the back. We can see Sai Tarun and in the race, and Eric Griffin as well fighting it out here. Dark Knight's left the session. Eric Griffin has joined the session, so he'll be seeing where he's ended up. He's gonna lose a lot more positions because he is AI, and that's Vinay who runs into the back of Mr. Raoud. Rajesh gets spun around. Mighty all gets tagged in that as well. Envy is already up into P12 on lap 1, and we haven't even finished 2 sectors yet.
I think you covered all of that pretty well. It's quite a chaotic first lap, and you can see Envy has taken full advantage of it.
He's up into P10 now, and we can see Fuzzy Dunlop's gone back down into P17. He's had an incident somewhere. Sai Tarun's up into P7. He's had a decent start himself. Pat is in P3. He's maintained he's gained 1 position actually. Satvik up into P4. Eric Griffin, Mighty All are fighting, and Mighty All does have a bit of damage on his right hand side. And we can see Envy is now fighting Vinay. Eric Griffin is tapping the back of Envy, and they are getting held up by Vinay. Vinay does not have a wing, and that's Envy who gets spun around by Eric Griffin. And Envy will absolutely be pissed off about that. Envy back down into P17 after having that very, very good start on lap 1. He was up into P10 fighting for P9. and Eric Griffin just tagged him and pushed him into the wall. And we can see Vinay is bidding for a new pair of softs, why does I say softs, a new pair of tires and a fresh set of wings as well. That's Deadshot setting it down the inside of Mighty Owl. He's past Mighty Owl quite comfortably. Dark Knight, who just did not go off the line on the start, who essentially fell back down into P17, which is P last here, is up into P12 now. He's fighting Mighty Owl. Mighty Owl makes a mistake on the exit and he's passing comfortably again. Although Dark Knight will have to watch out on his ERS. He's down to 40%.
Yeah, it's heartbreak for NV. He has done so well to get that good start. Then thing is,
for softs.
yeah, the thing I noticed was Mr. Rao started on very worn softs. I think someone spun at Anderson Bridge as well.
Satvik. Satvik in the Mercedes is from there.
Was it Satvik? He's still
Yes,
having
Satvik, yes. He goes up into P4 and then he made the spun there. And he's down to P7 now.
So I think everything calmed out. I don't want to say something wrong and something else happens.
By the looks of it, yes, it has. Although Dark Knight is still on kind of a charge now. He's trying to get back to where he was earlier. Envy is on a fresh set of softs. He's counting on a safety car to come out. They are 30 seconds behind Turbochuk, who's in P14. So they have a lot of catching up to do if there's no safety car out anytime soon. They will be fighting a lot out there. Mr. Rout's past Satvik as well now. As you can see, Neon is fighting with in the race. And there's Yellow Fax, there's Eric Griffin who's retired. Will there be a safety car? It's a virtual safety car.
Will it become a full SC?
Not sure. And we are getting issues that there's desync. We are hearing stuff that there is massive desync going on.
Interesting. Anyways, I wanted to say that Neon has a brilliant start. Can we go to positions changed? Yes, 7 positions. Wow.
Yep. Neon has gotten a very good start, although it could throw away there because there is desync issues they're complaining.
Yeah.
There's a lobby restart.
Oh wow, I did not expect that.
There is a lobby restart because of desync issues, and that just gives another glimpse of hope to Envy now. And it does not, help the Astromaticos at all because they were in the lead by a comfortable margin. And now, because we're lobby restarting, Envy has a solid chance to come back. Although by the looks of it, nobody is retiring. I don't think the message of restarting has gone through to anyone, so they're continuing to race, although we are restarting now. Yeah, so nobody's retiring at all. We do have a restart. It is confirmed restart.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. Let's see how it all works out.
Yeah, so everyone's so focused on racing. Nobody's leaving the session. Sort of Pat, he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to fight Ink over here. Oh look, desync. Ink just teleported behind Sort of Pat there. So,
oh wow. Yeah, I guess
is very weird. It is fair grounds for a restart then, I'm pretty sure, because we didn't see anything on our side, but now that we've seen it is fair grounds for a restart.
This is gonna shake a lot of things up. Some people are gonna be, let's just say they're gonna be mad that they got a good start, only for it to be all diminished due to the lobby restart. I think one of them will definitely be Neon, that is for sure.
Look at that! I mean, all I can do is sit here and laugh at it because even the AI car, the ghosted car that's not under the control of anyone, is desyncing.
Oh my god.
No idea how that's happening. It is.
Yeah, this is not good.
It's got to do something with the internet of anyone. It's just come down. The game's coding itself bugging out. migrating host. So there we go. That'll be a confirmed restart. Oof. I mean, it was a very chaotic start that we saw there.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see somewhat of a similar situation in the restarted lobby as well. But I don't think that. I just hope not that we don't have any more desync issues, because the last thing we want in such a long race is lobby restarts.
Yeah.
Takes up a lot of the time here.
It's such a long race already on top of that.
Yup, although it does help that it's not wet, so that is some time cut short compared to instead of finish doing the race for over an hour. They generally, without any safety cars, you should be done with it within about 50-55 minutes here.
Mm.
That's one thing. I'm getting news the whole lobby was glitching throughout.
Oh no, that is not what people like to hear.
So we are restarting anyways now, and yeah, you know what? Since it is your home track, Star Max, give us some tips about Singapore for the drivers who are listening in, for who perhaps they're racing in tier 2 or tier 1, or even someone who's racing right now. Perhaps they have just tuned into the stream to watch what we're talking about. Give them some tips.
Okay, so the main thing is it's a very unpredictable track. So in quali, you just want to set a banker lap. Doesn't have to be incredibly fast. Just set that. Then the next 2 to 3 laps, just push, push, push. So worst case scenario, you still have a decent lap to give you in a decent position. If you don't manage to set a valid lap, or you just make mistakes in the race, it is all about survival. Just have a consistent pace. Don't try to keep setting fastest laps or anything like that. Tire management is also very, very important, and keeping your nose clean is also very, very important.
That's true. Tire management is very important here. We are running the hardest compounds, but still, because of the nature of the track, the tires do wear out fairly quickly. So I think in terms of 21, you can get away with starting on softs or doing any sort of stint on softs, whereas on 22, you just don't have softs as an option in terms of a race tire. Generally, you don't have softs as an option as a race tire unless it's like like damp conditions, or like very, very cloudy, where the track temperature is lower by like 4, 5, 6 degrees even than compared to usual. Then you can sort of get away. But Singapore, considering it has high wear and bunch of corners, which also of course add to the high wear, softs will probably only last like 1.5 laps at the very, very max. I mean, it is a much better, I'd say, condition than, if you remember, if you have played F1 2018, where, you had to do the qualifying on super softs, the softest tire.
Yeah.
I think that was ultra soft or super soft. I'm not sure. Well,
hyper soft. Hyper
soft. There you go. There you go. Hyper softs. The pink tire. I called it the Force India tire because it matched the car's color. But anyways, it was essentially quality tire. I mean, it would barely last even half a lap, even in qualifying. So it was crucial that you nailed your first 2 sectors, because in the last sector, you had nothing left. And it wouldn't make sense for you to go onto the hyper softs or super softs, because that would just result in you getting a slow lap time, and you wouldn't get that advantage. So it was very crucial that 1, you nailed your lap in the first 2 sectors, and 2, again, have decent enough tire margin to make those tires last. This was never a race tire in Singapore, at least. Although I have seen quite a few people doing hyper soft after hyper soft after ultra soft after super soft as a race strategy, and it somehow magically worked for them. So in 2018, F1 2018, it was kind of an option, but now of course we don't have that. We have C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, which essentially just runs it off into hypersoft, supersoft, and so on and so forth. So going back to my point, though, it won't make sense to run softs in the race at all. Even in Tier 21, even in the 2021 game, a decent tire to start on because you do have the risk factor of a safety car coming out very early. But otherwise, if you are looking at like proper race pace, a long-term race pace, you would want to start something like on mediums or even on hards.
Mm. The hards are interesting. The first two laps is going to be super tricky because the thing about Singapore is that it's all slow corners. So your corner exits on the hards are going to be super tricky, and it's very very easy to make mistakes with them. And especially the fact that you're on full fuel, it kind of compounds to your problems. So hards, they are tricky to use, but they are definitely viable at the restart.
Yeah, but then that also comes down to making sure that you can keep your nose clean. You can try
Hmm.
your best, but then stuff at the end of the day could happen, which could result you in breaking your wing, and then you have to pit for that, and that just completely ruins your strategy if you're starting on like the harder compounds like mediums or hards even.
Mhm.
So
This is really important for the people on the 2022 games, i.e., the tier 1 and tier 2 people, because you only have one set of mediums and one set of hards. So, if you start on the mediums, you get damage lap 1, you have to go on to the hards. Then, maybe a couple of laps later, you get damage, you have to go back to your old mediums or softs, but what's the point of going to the softs? You can't go to the end of the race. So, yeah, it is very, very tricky. But in 2021, you still get two mediums, if I'm not wrong.
yeah,
Mm.
mediums to hard, one hard. I mean, I mean, I don't think it is viable here, even on 2021, because we did see Envy. He started on mediums. Then he had that collision. He had to pit for softs before, of course, we restarted. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't really make sense to start on mediums or hards, be it whatever game, because that is that very big risk factor of you getting that damage.
Mm.
There even being a safety car, which could absolutely ruin your race.
Mm.
It is about 4.5, 5% tire wear, I think, a lap, at least on softs. So it is a decent option to start on. It's not a good option to, add it into like a proper race stint, is what I'd
Mm.
say.
Speaking of Singapore, next week is the actual Grand Prix after a 3 week break. Man, this 3 week break is feeling like it's forever, man.
It is. It is almost as long as the summer break, so it makes sense why we, just get bored. But of course, we do have our leagues running on the weekends to fill up for that.
Mm.
And just like a slight mention as well, we do have ACC tomorrow. Uh, I'm not sure where. I mean, Sarmax, you're a ACC driver, so you can tell us where,
Yep.
perhaps.
So tomorrow will be the great track of Spa, and it is a
Spa.
double points.
Double points. Okay, so that will be fairly interesting to watch.
Mm.
I will be there commentating tomorrow alongside, I'm not sure who, but yeah, just tune in tomorrow if you're interested in seeing that. Spa races, be it in GT3 or in F1, are always very, very fun and entertaining to watch. So do make sure to tune in tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. IST for our ACC boys, and of course, not to forget on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. we do have our tier 2 boys who will be back at Singapore, although of course on the tier 22 on the 22 game. So to make sure to tune in for that, and then of course the fastest boys in IRC in tier 1 will be back with, again, of course, Singapore round 7 as well on the Sunday at 8 p.m. IST. So if you're interested in watching the fastest F1 drivers in IRC, apologies, in India, go across a track multiple times, then do make sure to tune in at 8 p.m. on the Sunday. And let me just up some information to see where we are in terms of the lobby.
I mean, simply you're racing on Sunday also, no, so you shouldn't be ego boosting yourself.
Yup. I'm just gonna take it fairly cautiously myself. Again, if you are interested to see where I end up in the race or anyone ends up, and of course to see the whole and general entertaining race, then do again tune in at 8 p.m. on Sunday. And I believe we are reading up now, so I think we can quickly switch over to the lobby shortly. And of course, it will be a dry race. Okay, so I am getting some news that lobby bug did happen because of people joining and leaving continuously. So that messed up the code of the game and that caused massive desync throughout.
The question is, if the okay, I hope this doesn't happen, but at the same time, I kind of hope it happens where like the coordinator forgets to set driver there, and if it's where the people are too lazy to restart it.
No, I'm
It,
pretty sure our coordinators are very well capable of ensuring
yeah,
that
yeah, of
nobody
course. I
does the
mean,
same.
it is this. I think it's a slight scenario that actually happened once, but at that time, even the coordinator wasn't there.
Deepak, can we switch over to the race lobby? I believe we are in.
No, never mind. It's still stuck on loading.
We're stuck on loading.
uh, I know
Yeah, well,
that might be only for the ink.
it could
Uh,
be a general lobby issue. We really do apologize for these delays. I mean, it is out of our control. Uh, we don't have control over how the game code works basically, and we're trying our level best to get up and running again. Um, we're just trying and hoping that we can quickly get through. And
yeah,
so
this
we're
is
stuck on
running.
loading.
Yeah, this is running quite late. We're already almost an hour into the weekend, into the race.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be a long one.
This is going to be a long one, so do make sure to grab your popcorn, your drinks, whatever it may be that you want to eat. Perhaps have your dinner as well if you haven't eaten your dinner yet. Um, Prepare anything basically to watch it will be a fairly decently long race. I think about 50-55 minutes is our race runtime from lights out to the final checkered flag. So it is going to be a long one at the end of the day anyways. So really don't want to delay it more, but then again, we are facing some technical issues from the game side itself. We're trying to fix them out as soon as possible, and we're just hoping that we can quickly deal with them and go through into the game. And I believe, yep, we are in. Thank you for anyone who's stuck out so far, listening to me and Starmax just chitter chatter. We had to fill in a little bit because it was a bit of an issue, and I believe we are having another lobby restart. I'm not sure why. Restart. We are restarting with a different host, and it will be a final lobby restart. So I'm guessing we do not want to take the same risk twice. And yet again, we absolutely apologize for this much delay. It is out of our control. What is happening right now? We were stuck loading for a very long time, and because of that, we have to restart yet again because that will definitely bug out the lobby, and the last thing we want is for our drivers to get frustrated because of stupid bugs from the game itself. So we'll be back with you fairly shortly, so please stay tuned because again we'll have to go through another lobby restart. 3-second time penalty. Yep, that is a time penalty for Deadshot. And